Well, let's get perspectives on this now, on the trend in the Nigerian political landscape and perhaps what you might be seeing in the coming days. The question, and a big one for that matter, on the lips of so many people, will there be a third force, perhaps a fourth one, aside the APC, the PDP phenomenon? We have 68 political parties. You can imagine what the ballot paper will look like in 2019. So what are you talking about? Let's get the benefit of the experience and the knowledge of my guest tonight. I have Professor Kingsley Moghalu, a former CBN Deputy Governor. He joins us on the program tonight. Thank you so much, Prof, for your time on the program.
Thank you, Sharon. Nice to be here.
What do you see about 2019? For example, with the kind of the ongoings, the APC, the PDP, now 68 political parties, are we going to see more or less the kind of situation that we've always seen in the Nigerian elections play out in 2019?
I don't think so. I think that 2019 is going to be a very important year for the evolution of democracy in Nigeria. We are seeing signs that a lot of Nigerians are no longer satisfied with the two leading political parties, the APC, which is the party in power at this time, and the PDP, which is the sort of the official opposition. If you look at the number of political parties, as you mentioned, that have been registered by INEC, it tells you that there are many more Nigerians that now want to become actively involved in politics. Therefore, I think the likelihood of an additional force in politics emerging in 2019 is very high.
But where with this, I mean, how additional voice, additional force, but how relevant will they be? We've always seen, yes. And the reason why the APC came together, their main agenda was to take PDP out of power, which they did. Yes. I mean, which meant that the forces, some forces in the PDP, and the combination of about 3 opposition parties came together. Can we have that kind of force in 2019?
It's possible. It depends on those who are moving, who are driving the movement for that third or fourth force, as the case may be. I think if they see it in the collective interest of the nation that 68 parties do not necessarily have to produce 68 presidential candidates, and if they decide to come together, at least perhaps for the presidential elections, they may be able to present a potent force. And also, I think if their message is very clear, it's all about the message. What's different from APC or PDP? That's where the question will lie. And I think it depends on what Nigerians feel. My sense is that a lot of Nigerians are looking for something new in 2019.
For almost 20 years, it should be 20 years actually this year, since the emergence of this republic and this democratic dispensation. The question, I mean, no, it's not 20 years. It's about 18 years or 17 years. So the question will be, what exactly is wrong with leadership in Nigeria? A lot of people will tell you it's a leadership problem.
Yes, let me tell you exactly.
When the APC says they're coming and taking out PDP because of what they perceive as mismanagement and misrule of Nigeria in the last 16 years, and they came to power, it seems there's more criticism on the APC too. So the question is, who then is the savior?
Well, I mean, it seems to me that among the current leading leadership class, political leadership class of Nigeria, they're simply engaging Nigeria in a merry-go-round of poverty. I mean, you know, they throw us between themselves. You know, this party wants to come this time around, this party wants to come this time around, but there is no fundamental improvement to the poverty of Nigerians. Nigeria has a very high poverty rate of about 60%. There are about 30 million Nigerians unemployed. We have 4,000 megawatts of electricity in a country of nearly 200 million people. South Africa has 50 million people. They have 40,000 megawatts of electricity. We have about 15 million children of school age out of school. We are ranked 187 out of 189 by the World Health Organization of all the countries in the world on our healthcare systems. These are the facts. And I think these are the things that should occupy the minds of Nigerian citizens and should move Nigerian citizens to take their destiny, their future, into their own hands and say no, for the first time, to all this identity politics of North and South and, you know, religion and all that. It's just backwardness progressing in Nigeria. And I think it's time for us to move into a very different future. Now, for that to happen, a different and new leadership class needs to emerge in Nigeria. My own belief is that that leadership class should be based on vision and technocratic competence.
Has that class been born?
I think they exist. Whether they have been born, we will see in the next few months.
It's interesting because you wonder where these people will come from. We have a system in the government sector, in the civil and the public sector, that is, they say, is a major problem. If you look at the budget process in Nigeria, a lot of people will tell you, no, the people, the evil in the budgeting system is in the civil service. And so the question will be, remove the politicians. The people who run government as civil servants.
Let me respond to that.
So a lot of people will tell you, it's a systemic problem that we have on our hands.
Yes, but systemic problems can be solved by leadership, real leadership. The problem is that the politicians in Nigeria are just playing politics, but they're not offering us leadership.
So what the kind of leadership we have seen so far, how would you describe it?
Well, it's visionless. No question in my mind about it.
The present one and the past ones?
Yes, the political class broadly. Yes, but the current and the past. So I'm not discriminating between the parties. I'm talking about the political class in Nigeria. And they're distributed across various parties. So the fact of the matter is that there is no vision, there is no uniting and collective and cohesive vision of the Nigerian state around which we can all unite. We see Nigeria as a very fractured country today. We know what's been happening in recent days. So, and all this is because of leadership failure. Leadership is not about authority. It's not just about power for the sake of power, authority for the sake of authority. No. Leadership is about how do you affect the lives of people? How do you take the poor millions of Nigeria into the middle class over a certain amount of time? That's how countries like China have risen to be world powers. That's how countries like Brazil and Malaysia and even Rwanda in Africa are moving. That's what we need in Nigeria today. We need a leadership that has clear vision, that has the passion for the Nigerian people, not about sectional politics or about power for the sake of power.
The question is, where are we going to get it? Do we need an American or a British to do this for us? The big question is, where would that come from? Do we have that? Is it a hopeless situation we have on our hands?
It is not. It is not. The moment we declare that our situation is hopeless, we might as well just all die. We can't. Life is about hope. But you can't just, hope is not enough.
You remember have to have Hope 93?
Yes, you have to have...
How many years down the line?
That's right.
We're still keeping hope alive?
Yes,
but things are getting bad, isn't it?
Well, things are very bad. And that sometimes it's at the darkest moment. It's always darkest before dawn. So I'm not hopeless. I believe that there is hope for this country. I believe that there are people who can give this country a new future. I believe that there are people in this country who, if they can organize themselves, and if the citizens can give them an opportunity, can provide a very different type of existence for Nigeria's 200 million people.
Professor, in one sentence, we'll go on break now. In one sentence, if you were to draw a master plan on how this nation will get out of this quagmire, it looks like a lot of people are confused, even the political class.
Let me tell you,
what would that be?
That plan is this. First, establish a very clear worldview for the Nigerian state. Where are we going? Who are we? Where are we coming from? How are we going to get to where we want to get to? What's the strategy? And what are the value systems that will underpin that strategy? So there must be a guiding, sort of a guidepost to where we're going. And then the next thing is the competence to actually manage the state towards that goal.
We take a break. Don't despise what he has said. He's a professor, not only in the books, he's practiced governance. We'll hear from Professor Moghalu when we come back about how Nigerian states are being run and where the problems really are. Join us again after this break.